Hey, I tell you what, you can take a good look at a butcher's ass by sticking your head up there, but wouldn't you rather take his word for it?
Oh my God. I would love to see that happen. It's just my weird thing, my little quirk. Hey, what's up? It's Duff. It's another episode of Duff Uncensored. Hope you're having a great day. Got a lot to get to, so much to get into today, but make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. Don't forget, today's show is presented to you by the great people over at Sugar Fire in Westminster, as well as Jad's Mile High Smoke, and of course, Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Go ahead, go to betonline.ag. Again, betonline.ag. Go there today. Or you can go ahead and use your mobile device and get in on all the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. I was like, yeah, I can't speak. Oh, but you know what I can do? Jump into some headlines.
Let's go! Let's go!
And now, here are the headlines.
I can't talk. I can't talk. It's one of those days, which is like every day. Hey, guess what? Anti-sex beds have arrived at the Paris Olympics, according to the headline, after horny athletes admit to orgies. I don't see what the big deal is if athletes want to have sex with each other. Are they happy? Yeah. Are they spreading disease? Well, maybe. Maybe. But as long as they're suiting up, what's the big deal? I mean, they say this, but then they also have like buckets and barrels of condoms available for the athletes. I don't understand this. The beds, which we've talked about when they came out for the Tokyo Olympics, they did these same things with the anti-sex beds. The mattresses and cardboard frames are 100% recyclable. They're made just for one person, and basically if two people get on there, it's going to collapse, allegedly. Here's what I'm like thinking is like, it's if you want to have sex, you don't need to have a bed. You don't. They also continued with saying it's unlikely cardboard beds will stop the horny Olympians from fornicating, with one competitor claiming a hot tub orgy took place 1 year. Of course, they're gonna where there's a will, there's a way. The Mirror claimed that a U.S. two-time gold medalist said, "I've seen people having sex right out in the open, on the grass, between buildings. People are getting down and dirty." That's what I'm saying is like I'm like looking at a picture and they're like, these are the anti-sex beds, and they have some old guy sitting on them, like essentially giving a thumbs up, like my job is done. Nobody's having sex on these things. It's impossible. It's like the most boring guy in the world's like, I have an idea. The only place people can make love is the bed, right? Well, let's just make that bed only available for one person to lay in, and and make it out of cardboard. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm just like sitting there thinking, what are you doing, dude? No, there's a perfectly good floor right there. It's so ridiculous. Like, if you stop and think about it, you don't have to be a child, immature, mindset like me. But if you just think about it, it's like, come on, man. How boring are you? It is kind of funny though, because it's like, come on. It's there's more places to do it. Like they're saying, there's people doing it out in the open. I don't suggest doing that. There's people that talking about there's like orgies all the time at the Olympic Village. Again, I don't see what the big deal is. I don't. Now, they did have a doctor respond on this. Dr. Ian Malcolm responded to the news of these no sex beds.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, exactly. They do. You thought it was going to be a real doctor. It's the guy from Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum.
Life finds a way.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, Mike wrote in because I posted like a screenshot of this article, and Mike Arnett wrote, "There are more condoms at the Olympic Village than the Trojan factory. Where there's a will, there's a way, making superhuman athletes beyond borders." Heart, heart, heart. It's true, man. If you want to get down and dirty, you're gonna find a way. I mean, come on. You don't need to be too graphic on this, but it- if you want to do it, you're going to do it. Oh my goodness, it's so funny. Have you ever thought about this? Do you know a psychopath? Maybe you're a psychopath. Well, new research has found that people who commonly text and drive are associated with psychopathic behavior. Aha. Aha. Interesting. The new data from interviews with nearly 1,000 Germans, the German drivers, about 73% of them women, found a shocking 600 plus participants, or about 61%, admitted to problematic use of their device while driving. I don't know if I read that right, but whatever. Along with connections to fear of missing out, which is a huge problem nowadays due to social media, and antisocial behavior, problematic smartphone users, or otherwise known as PSU, evoke three negative traits known as the dark triad. Now, one of these I'm going to have to play something from Google because I can't pronounce it. Ready? First one, narcissism. The next one,
Machiavellianism.
I would never get that. I would never get that one. I am not smart. And also, psychopathy is what they say, which unrelated research also recently connected to, get this, drivers with deliberately loud cars. You fucking dicks that drive by going, I got a loud car. I took off the muffler. People think I'm awesome. No, you and your buddies think you're awesome. Everybody else thinks you're douchebags. That being said, there was a time where I wanted to be like that. I think I can take the muffler off of my 83 Buick Skylark, and man, it's going to be loud. Yeah, but nobody's going to like you. By the way, that word that I can't pronounce,
Machiavellianism.
this is what it means, because you might already know this, is characterized by the manipulation and exploitation of others, indifference to morality, lack of empathy, and a strategic focus on self-interest. AKA, you're a butthole that nobody likes you. My goodness, that's interesting. I guess it's fascinating to think about that the people that are self-absorbed and they're constantly focusing on their phones, they're texting and driving, not caring about other people. And it's the same thing with people that have deliberately loud vehicles, that there's something wrong with you. You're part of the dark triad. And that's interesting. Now, that being said, it's not something that like it's the end of the world. You can change your ways, and that's good. We've talked about this before. All joking aside, one of the best things that we could do for ourselves and people that are close to us is put our cell phones down. It's hard. Trust me. I know. I'm right there with you. But you put your cell phone down, especially when you're in a vehicle, because a distracted driver is a dangerous driver. And I know that sounds lame to some of you. I'm very surprised with the amount of people out there that think it's perfectly fine to be texting and driving. But that being said, I've done it plenty of times. plenty of times. And I always think afterwards, it's like, God, I'm so stupid for doing that. Like I can literally put it, away and everything's going to be fine. I don't need to know the information now. I can wait. But that's something we could all be better at. And I know some of you already are, but I'm in the category of where I need to improve on that. So it's and then like with the loud vehicles, it's I think that was pretty obvious to most of us. Like there's clearly something wrong with you because nobody cares if your car is loud other than you. Literally, what happens when you drive by with your vehicle, blaring, I don't care about the music. The music I can deal with. It's like when you purposely try to make your car louder by altering the muffler and whatever else. I'm not a car guy. But ultimately, nobody fucking cares other than you and your buddies. We just all do the same thing when you drive by. What a fucking douche. That's a very common word to describe people that do that. Okay? That's the facts. That's the facts. Speaking of facts, a great place to grab some barbecue, especially for graduation parties. Listen up, Sugar Fire in Westminster. Amazing place to grab some barbecue and have them cater your graduation party. They're off 144th and Orchard Parkway, right next to Snooze on the south side of Orchard Parkway, of 144th. Follow them on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Sugarfire Westy. Just great. I was in there last week. I'll have to go again. I have to go. It's so good. You go in there and they, they got, whether it's ribs, they got smoked brisket, smoked wings, they got burgers, and the list goes on and on and on. Just amazing, like pulled pork sandwiches, just so freaking good. Everything you get there is good. And now imagine you get that catered to your graduation party. Boom. That's awesome. What better way to honor your graduate than with some great food from Sugar Fire in Westminster? They also have amazing sauces that go along with it. St. Louis sweet, Texas hot, coffee, Carolina mustard, and of course, white barbecue. They have amazing sides as well. You got your traditional, but taken up a notch of coleslaw and all this other stuff, as well as so many other great sides. You got to go in there, check them out. Go to their website right now, sugarfiresmokehouse.com. Unless you're driving, you narcissist. But otherwise, anyway, coming back. Stay with me, folks. Go to sugarfiresmokehouse.com and see what I'm talking about. Just click on the catering menu and you're gonna see. Whether it's for a graduation party, a wedding, a birthday, or a big meeting at work. Either way, Sugar Fire in Westminster is the place to go to hand over the keys and say, hey, can you help me with the catering? And sure enough, they're going to knock it out of the park for you. They're so freaking good. Check out Sugar Fire in Westminster. They're off 144th and Orchard Parkway, just east of Huron on the south side of 144th. It's Sugar Fire in Westminster, reinventing barbecue every single day. One other place that I think you need to check out is Jad's Mile High Smoke. It's the first and only licensed canna bar in the state of Colorado. It's like an alcohol bar, but it's for cannabis. It's freaking brilliant. Great place. You go in there, everybody's so friendly. And what's cool is you can purchase up to an ounce of flour or 8 grams of concentrate. And they also have edibles, pre-rolls. You can consume on site, and they got the tools. They got the tools to consume it with and then take the rest home. It's awesome. Jad's has 7 big screen TVs, so you can watch your favorite sporting event, host a watch party, maybe even want to play some Nintendo Switch. You can rent one of those. They got tons of free board games, playing cards, coloring books, dominoes, and maybe you just want to go there, hang out either by yourself or bring a friend or 2 or 3 or 4 and just have a great time. They also have a quarter arcade with pinball machines, vintage Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and more. And one thing I got to tell you, their bathrooms. Go to their bathrooms. Their bathrooms are on another level of greatness. You go in there and you're like, oh, I can't wait to use these. They're great. I'm sorry. It's one of those things that when you go into an establishment and then you go use the restroom, you can tell a lot about a place when it comes to their restrooms. If the restrooms are really clean and just out of the park, boom, you know the whole place is legit. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's just one of those tells for me. They're open daily from noon to 10. Happy hour runs from noon to 4:20 Monday through Friday. Thursdays, by the way, is Ladies' Day, and ladies get 20% off all day. That's so cool. Jazz Mile High Smoke is 9 minutes from Coors Field. It's open from noon to 10, like I was just saying. You got to be at least 21 or older to consume. No outside product. Just buy it there. Jazz is at 7667 Washington Street. Just GPS to Jazz. You know what we need to do? Yeah, let's just do this because I got so much, and there might be more coming in. Let's jump into the mailbag.
Mailbag. You've got mail.
This is an interesting question coming in from Lee. He said, "In all, I assume Lee's a man. I guess that's goes both ways. In all your years in the media, what are some of the coolest things you've done and cool people you've met?" That's an interesting question because I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of interesting people. You know, let's see, like the cool things, and I'm probably forgetting some stuff. I got kicked in the leg by a UFC fighter, Luke Kadia, Lil Hulk. Good dude. Uh, I flew a helicopter once over Westminster, and I didn't realize I was going to actually get an opportunity to fly it. I thought it was just you know go up there with us in the helicopter. We'll tell you about the classes and stuff like that. And they're like, no, we're going to train you up a little bit, and you can take controls. And I literally was flying it over Westminster, and I'm looking over next to the guy. I want to say his name was Garrett or something like that. And I'm looking over next to him, and he's just like his hands are crossed, and it's all me. And I'm like, oh, oh fuck. You made a bad life decision, sir. Giving me controls. That was fun. I have a fear of heights, but that was fun. Like what it was really bizarre because I thought I would like have a panic attack being up in a helicopter, and I didn't. It was awesome. Like as soon as you're up a certain amount, it just like all goes away, and I'm like, this is great, and it would be a lot of fun to get your pilot's license, whether it's a small aircraft or a helicopter. By the way, a side note, if I had to choose between the two, I think I would like to learn how to fly a helicopter. I think that would be great. Obviously, not in high stress situations. I don't want to be like that. But I think commercially, I think that would be kind of a fun gig. I'm sure there's a lot of stress involved too, but of the two, I think you just have more control, more maneuverability. I think that would be great. Another cool thing, Lee, that I got a chance to do was play catch on the sidelines at Lincoln Financial Field. That is something that I will treasure for the rest of my life. I was covering Army Navy several years ago, and me and other media members, were bored waiting for the festivities to start, and we just pick up a football. We're like, we'll just ask for forgiveness later if we get in trouble. So we just started throwing the football, and most media members are terrible athletes. That's a fact. Sports talk, especially, they're terrible. Aside from the former athletes, it's the radio guys that are just terrible. We're all terrible for the most part. But that day, I was the best athlete, and it was so funny. And then that's where I met Mike Pritchard, former CU Buff, former Denver Bronco, former Seattle Seahawk, former Atlanta Falcon, just a good dude, and now a great friend. That's where I met him, and we started talking, and he's like, "Did you play?" No, I don't know. We joked about it when I saw him at the Super Bowl this past year in Las Vegas. I was sharing that story with him, but that was a fun experience. It just being on the sideline of a professional field. Now that day they had college athletes playing, but that's also the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was just a neat experience. And at one time, I was playing catch with a kid in the stands. It was just cool, a great experience. Uh, like I said, covered multiple Super Bowls, which are just great because I don't get to travel that much with the family. So when I get a chance to do that for work, I meet a lot of different people. There's people that I meet frequently, like they're my travel friends type of thing. And when I covered the Broncos Super Bowl in San Francisco when they beat the Carolina Panthers, going out there, Mike Evans from 104.3 The Fan and I, we went over to Alcatraz. We took a ferry out to Alcatraz, did the tour, made a funny video out of it, and those are things that I just normally wouldn't get to do, and it's fun. I love doing that stuff. I worked the sidelines for a Denver Broncos game several times as a parabolic operator. You know those little dish things where they have a microphone in the middle and they point it at the action. That way you get the sound of the game and then it relays back to the broadcast. So you get the ready for 1 minute, blue 75. Those are from the parabolics are grabbing that sound. So that was a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people. Sadly, Norm Macdonald, Bob Saget, who have now since passed, met them, great individuals. Met Jay Moore, who's hilarious. By the way, Jay is just very intimidating to talk to because he's very intelligent, but a good dude. Sinbad's awesome. He and I helped transition the radio station from AM 950 to 104.3, and that is a tidbit of Denver radio history that he and I were a part of, as well as Scott Hastings. Jim Brewer, great dude. Talked to Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart on the phone, both great guys. Kevin Hart was hilarious. That was before he even made it huge, but I knew of him, and he was just a great dude. And I had to cancel the interview with him because Mike Evans and Scott Hastings had no idea who he was at the time. That was hilarious. Met a lot of great athletes like Patrick Waugh, who jokingly would constantly say something about how he wanted to beat me up in almost every time that he came in for an interview because he would come in studio. But a great dude. Hey there, Scotty, I'm going to pop you right in the face, okay? I'm going to come right through the glass and I'm going to bust your head in. It's just a good, funny dude. Joe Sakic, Carl Mecklenburg. These are guys that I grew up watching, which was awesome. Like Simon Fletcher, John Elway once rubbed my shoulders and patted me on the shoulder and said, "What's up, Duff?" And I creamed in my pants. It was fantastic. I was like 10 feet away once from Ryan Reynolds. That was great. That was really cool. Like I don't remember what Super Bowl it was. He was doing some, media tour, and only a few people got him on the show. He comes in with his, group of people, and he was right next to us. Saw him. I gazed at him longingly. I almost booked President Obama. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, but if you can book, especially back then, book a president to come on a radio show, and it was right at the end of his term, and he was ready to go with Mark Schlereth and Mike Evans, and I kept interacting with the guy that was handling it, and he's like, "Okay, we should be good to go for tomorrow, but it's not officially set in stone. You can't set, these things in stone with them." And then it fell through right at the last moment, and that sucked. But it would have been cool. If I could say, "Hey, I booked a president." Nowadays, and he was a sitting president, even though his term was just about up. It would have been cool, and I almost got him to do it. Nowadays, after the fact, after they're off, they're apparently easier to get. That being said, I just don't want to go into the politics and stuff like that. We were going to talk to Obama about sports and stuff, and there was some angle that we were going for. So yeah, I've met a lot of cool people. done a lot of cool things. There's a lot of things that I can't remember right now that they're going to pop up, but and forgive me if you're famous and I didn't mention you. But most likely you're not listening, so I guess we're good. You notice who I didn't say? Rob Schneider, because he's a prick. This comes in from Text Prinster. He said, if everyone in China jumped off chairs at the same time, would it affect the Earth's orbit? I had to look this up because I was like, I don't know. There's a lot of fucking people in China. You don't know. I don't know. The answer is no. No, it would not. There'd have to be maybe if like everybody on the planet was in one area and then it would fuck it up. Possibly. So yeah, I had to Google that one. And there was somebody that was just like, yeah, it will. But then I found some scientist guys, nerds, that were like, no, it can't. Based on my calculations, we would need an extra thrust of blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, I trust the science people. Matt OFP said, dude, check out this fast food inflation chart from Finance Buzz updated yesterday. McDonald's is double the cost from a decade ago and tastes only a quarter as good. I haven't been to any of the others for many years. Okay, I'm going to go through this real quick because it does affect you guys. It's fascinating when you look at these. Or this is now, and I'll tell you why the experts are saying the food inflation is much higher than actual inflation, because actual inflation from 2014 to 2024 now, actual inflation is up by 31%. Okay, that's a significant amount. But when you start looking at the individual restaurants, fast food restaurants, McDonald's is 100% more. Popeyes 86%, Taco Bell 81, which really pisses me off because when I was a kid, you could get like a bean burrito or a pintos and cheese. Those were my two things. And it would be like 59 cents each. I get it. You know, those are pipe dreams, man. I wish we could go back to it, but it's never going to happen. Chipotle up 75%. Jimmy John's 62. Arby's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, they're up 55%. Panera Bread 54. Subway and Starbucks are the best in a sense. They're only at 39%. Again, actual inflation is at 31%. And it's just wild. And then when you really start looking at like McDonald's, because McDonald's is the worst out of all of them. When you look at, let's just look at a medium French fry at McDonald's. Back in 2014, it's $1.59. 2024, right now, it's $3.79. Quarter pounder with cheese. This is a quarter pounder with cheese meal. Okay. 2014, it was $5.39. Right now, $11.99. You can tell I don't go there very often because that's insane. McDouble sandwich in 2014 was $1.19. Now it's $3.19. A 10-piece McNugget meal was $5.99 and is now $10.99. Wow. Who gets a fillet of fish anymore? Have you ever had a fillet of fish at McDonald's? I feel like that's just rolling the dice on, life. Yeah, probably not a good idea. But maybe it's good. I don't know. A Big Mac was $3.99. Now it's $5.99. Medium drink, $1.29, $1.61. That's not bad. We've talked about that before. Drinks don't actually cost the restaurants that much. As far as the soda goes, it's the paper cost that gets you and why they have to increase the cost. But, which, by the way, side note, a lot of places like McDonald's are taking away the in-lobby fountains because people, will go in there, and if they can cut the cost a little bit, save a few pennies here and there, overall, it's going to save the company a lot of money in the long run. So they're going to start taking the one by my house. I took the kids there like a year or two ago, and they had already removed it from the lobby, the soda machine, And if you wanted a refill, you could go up there and get one. But people are less likely to do it. People are less likely to go in there with, like, I don't know, a bucket and fill up their soda. I don't know. But it allows them to have more control. You don't have people coming in there off the street and going, "Hey, I brought my cup from home and I'm going to fill it up there and just leave." So that's the reason for this. Now, so obviously there's issues, but some of the chains aren't going up as much. It's really interesting because you and I have been talking about this for a while. We saw this happening a few years ago. And to toot my own horn, and you probably realized it too, it's very simple math. While overall inflation is up 31%, restaurants still have other issues to deal with. You got food cost inflation, yes, but then you add in labor costs, which everybody's like, well, you need to, raise minimum wage to like $20 or $15, whatever it is. What are the experts saying? That's what they were saying, is what I have been saying for years. You raise labor costs, the restaurants, the businesses have to make it up. They have to make up that cost. So what do? It's not just inflation, overall inflation going up 31%. It's labor, the cost of labor is going up now. So they have to overall, in order to stay profitable, they have to increase the price of food. And that is one of the biggest factors is labor cost. So I understand that we want to give people, a healthy wage to live, but what ends up happening is that spills over, and now those same people are going to have to pay a lot more money for food and other expenses. So then it's just really, if anything, it may bounce up. You may be financially set for a little bit, but eventually everything else is going to catch up, and we're going to be at the same situation in like 5 years from now. People are going to go, we need to raise the minimum wage again, this time $30 an hour or whatever the fuck it is. And essentially what is happening is the American dollar is becoming more and more worthless when it comes to that. When we're constantly jacking up the minimum wage and stuff like that, and then everything else is going up. So it's going to cost us like $30 for a meal at McDonald's, but don't worry, you're going to be making $30 an hour at McDonald's or Taco Bell, stuff like that. But it's just like it's essentially you're basically making the same amount of money because everything else is raised. If you write it out, put it out on a chart, on a piece of paper, your cost be what your wages are in the middle. If you're the quote unquote lower class, well, you're making more money now, right? Well, now the basics of food, food and beverage, everything out there, fast food, everything else is going to have to be raised. As far as if you want to go out there and buy it, you're going to go out there, and guess what? Everything is now, it's basically everything is almost in unison, moving up together. The one in the middle, your labor, will go up first, then everything else will quickly follow behind. And then it's a new plateau, it's a new level. You're just essentially, you moved, you went up, but everything else is following in suit. So that now it's just like, okay, it's going to happen again. It's a very temporary fix that is actually causing more of an issue. But it's interesting because this article that Matt OFP sent me is just like, I'm reading all the experts, and they're like, what are the factors? Everything. It's labor, and of course, what's it called? Inflation, but mostly labor. It's fascinating, guys. Fascinating. We're fucking ourselves. And ultimately, it's like I get it, but it's not going to get fixed anytime soon, unless here's where AI comes in and could help this situation. It fucks labor, but overall, it will help restaurants and smaller businesses stay afloat if you get some AI in there and something that can replace workers for something that is not overcomplicated. If you can have a restaurant where a robot that is programmed with AI or whatever can flip the burgers for you, it can do most of the work for you, and you can take your staff of, say, I'll throw out a high number of, say, 10, which is probably not that much on an average McDonald's shift, but I don't know. But you could take that number from 10 and cut it by more than half. You could have probably 4 people, and eventually it goes down to about 2 people. That's pretty freaking phenomenal when it comes to the bottom line for the people running the location, the owners. But what sucks is now you have less jobs. So if you work at one of those locations or in a restaurant, you got to think to yourself, where do I see myself in 5 years? Do you want to become management? Because that's fine if you do. And that's if you want to stay within the company, you need to start projecting yourself to move forward and move up in the company. But if you're thinking, well, I'm just going to be an employee, I mean, you, there's no room for you. Eventually, you're going to get pushed out and phased out. There's more opportunities if you want to be a manager and eventually become an owner of something like that. But if you want to be, sitting back and go, I'll just work here for a while, and I don't really know. Well, you need to hustle up because this technology is catching up to you, and it's going to phase out your job. That's a hard truth. A lot of people in the restaurant industry, you guys need to realize it's like this isn't going to last very long here because you can see what's happening. Now that being said, there's still a lot of demand for fast food. People are still spending their money at these fast food locations. That's the thing. People are paying the extra for the money. They're paying the extra money for the food. But eventually that's going to start dwindling. People are going to get tired of that. Be like, I don't want to spend, you know, shit, man. The other day I took my son somewhere, and for just him and I, it was over $20. And it wasn't, where the fuck was that? I don't remember where it was, but it was a fast food place. And I'm like, this is stupid. We could have just gone home and made sandwiches and hardly spent a dime because we already paid for the food. But even if you broke it down, we're hardly paying a dime. It's a big problem. And it's really one of those things where it's even more important for you to take control of your food options and start cooking more at home because grocery prices aren't as through the roof as when you go to a restaurant. They're still increasing, obviously, but not as significant. So if you can make stuff at home, you're better off to do that. Plus, you're taking control. You're making sure you're more aware of what's going in your body versus when you go to a fast food joint. You don't really know what they're doing, and you're preparing it versus some dickhead that doesn't really give a shit about his job or her job, and you cook it at home. Hopefully you take more pride in it, and you're less likely to get foodborne illnesses. That being said, as I just ramble on and on and on, is you're more more likely, last I heard, due to bad preparation, people are more likely to get salmonella poisoning at home because of lack of proper preparation of chicken. So take care of that shit. Wash your stuff. wash your counters down when you're dealing with raw chicken, but you can save a lot of money. And if you handle it right, you're not going to get sick and you're not going to get everybody else sick. There's a lot in that story from Matt. And Matt, thank you so much for sending that in. Let's see, what else did I have? That was a lot of just info on that. Oh, shit. Oh, I got to bring this up. Oh, my God, dude. Oh, my God, dude. Sack swinger, what in the fuck is wrong with you? I love you, but jeez. He sends me a lot of weird stuff on Twitter. And I'll start by going back to one of the first things he sent me this morning. He said, "Do you like steak?" And it's this video that he's sharing with me. It's a cow, or excuse me, it's a man laying in a field naked with two cows licking him and one cow really just going to town on the guy's dong. And he said, "Do you like steak?" I said, "Boy, that one cow's really using a lot of teeth." Then the next one is, "Why is Red Lobster going bankrupt?" And it's this extremely obese lady doing a 10-minute video of her eating Red Lobster to go. And it says, "Why is Red Lobster going bankrupt?" That's fucked up. It's fucked up. And then I said, "I'd love to see your search history." Then he followed up. This is what made me go crazy. "Those things keep showing up on my feed," is what he said. "Did you see the gas pump guy?" I'm like, "No, I now want to see it." And it's this guy sticking a gas pump up his butt while jerking himself off out in the middle of the day. What in the hell is wrong with our society? I just want to know, did he turn the gas pump on? Did he turn it on? Oh my God, people. What is wrong with our society? Sack swinger, clear your data. Jesus. Then somebody asked me about the Avs next season. I don't know. The Avs are essentially done. The Nuggets came back and they've won 3 in a row. And they're looking to close out the series with the Timberwolves. I don't see why they can't do that next game. They played very well last night. I'm watching the game. I fell asleep before the end of the game, but I saw the majority of the game. And, they're playing well. They're playing well. And I'd like to see them just close this thing out in Minnesota, only go 6 games, and then move on to the next opponent. They need some rest, so hopefully they can close this thing out in Game 6. Thank you guys so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it. Big interaction today. Really, really can't thank you enough. Again, Lee, Tex Prinster, Matt OFP, and there was one more guy that interacted. Oh, Mike. Mike, thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Don't be texting and driving. Don't be making your car loud on purpose for several reasons. 1, nobody likes you, and 2, you're a dick. Oh, those are basically the same thing. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to the show. You guys are amazing. Have an amazing day. Big thanks to Sugar Fire in Westminster. Also, Jad's Mile High Smoke. And, of course, betonline.ag. You guys are all amazing. Have a fantastic day. Let's continue to move forward. I'll talk to you next time.